All right. My name is Bitcoin Mike. It's a pleasure to be your host tonight. I'm going to be doing the introduction for the guest speaker. His name is Coach Bryant. Coach Bryant has been involved in the direct sales and network distribution industries for the last 30 years. In that time, he has consistently built massive teams and developed a great deal of expertise in the technology, health and wellness, and cryptocurrency fields. His reputation as a coach, trainer, and comp plan developer has led to several companies recruiting him as an executive level consultant. In that capacity, he has spent the last decade plus developing teams in North America, South America, Australia, New Zealand, Europe, and Asia, helping them facilitate the sales of more than $1 billion in products and services. So, look, turn off your TV, get everything squared away, get quiet. You don't want to miss any of this thing. Coach Brian, are you there?
I am here, Mike. Can you hear me clear, sir?
Yes, sir, I can, loud and clear.
Fantastic, man. Well, thank you so much again for getting this all set up, man. Love the opening, the intro, all the energy that's being created, man. Largely because of not just what you're doing on these calls, but what you're doing with your team behind the scenes, man. Just growing and growing and growing. Helping a lot of people to discover this opportunity of CryptX. So definitely appreciate your leadership. Appreciate the opportunity to work on this project with you. And I'll just say to everyone, Mike is absolutely correct. I say a lot and I say it fast. I always want to be respectful of your time. So make sure you do write down your questions so you can get them answered at the conclusion. And I'm just going to cover, a few short things for you here. First thing I want to do, though, is I just want to, just basically, guys, do this basic disclaimer to let you guys know that we're all adults here. So ultimately, there's a little bleed on the slide. I apologize, but I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity, I think, to really evaluate this like they should, so they understand that we're not the owners. Mike doesn't own this. I don't own this. It's completely anonymous the way that it's all set up. We're just people who took a look at this, just like you. And we evaluated it. We figured out if it fit within our risk parameters. It did, especially when we saw the incredible returns that were available. And after doing our research, we decided to get involved. I want you to do the same thing for you and your family tonight or this afternoon or this morning, depending on where you're logging in from around the world. And if it makes sense to you, get engaged. We'll work with you on some individual strategies that work for you and your family, and we'll be off to the races. Now, guys, with that said, my job here tonight is simple. I'm going to cover three quick things for you. The first is the CryptX offer. I'm going to tell you who they are, what it is they do, and what they're offering it for you, what's in it for you. Once I show you that, you're going to have a moment, and it's a moment that I think has happened to all of us when we saw that. It's almost like blatant disbelief. This can't be real. So therefore, the next part of this webinar is going to be the proof that the offer is real. I'm going to show you some back offices. I'm also going to show you the blockchain so you can see the actual proof, real-time transactions. And then finally, we're going to share with you the optional referral program. If you get to a point where you realize that this is real, it is incredible, and you know some other people that might benefit from it, you might want to put yourself in position to be able to earn some additional income today and every day, just for going out there and sharing this with some others. Again, that's completely optional. With that said, imagine for a moment driving down your street, in your town, no matter your city, wherever it is, and you saw this particular billboard. It said bank loans, and it could be any bank that's in your Wells Fargo, TD Bank, whatever. 30 to 40,000 dollars, guaranteed approval, no credit, no income check, no ID required. We don't even need to know your name. The only thing required for you to get this guaranteed $30 or $40,000 loan is $100 processing fee. If you saw that, two things are pretty certain. One is if you drove down to the bank, there'd be a line stretching to the horizon of people waving around with their $100 bill. And two, about 30 days from that point, the bank's going to start to have some financial issues, probably going to go out of business, because let's face it, if a bunch of people walked out of there with $30,000 and $40,000 loans and the bank didn't even know their names, they're probably never going to come and give the bank back their money. Well, as unlikely as it is you would ever see anything like that, as almost unlikely and unreal as it is that would ever exist, guys, I want you to kind of get yourself into that mindset as we start talking about what CryptX has done to make some of these unlikely things a reality. First of all, CryptX is a community-based project utilizing a blockchain-based DeFi staking protocol as its point for earning. Now, here's what I want you to understand. They've created these partnerships with banks, insurance companies, and individual account holders, people like you. And it's set up so that everybody gets to generate profits. Now, what they're offering is this unique DeFi hybrid contract that consists of two parts. We're going to go through both of them: a smart contract and a decentralized Oracle network. And also, they have over 800,000 account holders worldwide that are currently engaging with their platform. You might think it took a while to generate 800,000 account holders. You'd be right. They're not new. They've been around since 2016. This is one of the important parts of the project for me, is that it wasn't something new. It was new to me, but it wasn't new to the world. They've actually gone out and documented themselves now for just under a decade. That was actually pretty exciting to me about what they were able to go out there and get done. Now, to understand what they're doing, you might wonder, what is staking? We said they're this DeFi staking project. Well, staking is the process of keeping your crypto assets locked for a contractual period of time in order to generate passive income. Now, locked assets protect the network's ability to generate crypto profits. And as a reward, the staker slash participant, guys, that's us, that's you potentially, they get to receive returns. Now, this is very similar to getting a certificate of deposit from your bank. If you went there and told them that you would like to get a 6-month CD, which means they get to hold your money guaranteed for 6 months, they're going to give you one interest rate. If you tell them you want a 2 or 3 year CD, they're going to give you a much higher interest rate, because they know the longer they get to hold your money, the more things they can do with it, the more profits they can earn. So therefore, they can give you a higher interest rate. This works very similar to that, except our profits are going to be daily. Now, the profit partnership that's been created here by CryptX is between insurance companies, banks, smart contracts, and you. Everybody has their responsibility to make these profits actually flow. So let's talk about your responsibility. You're going to do 3 things. One is you're going to create a free account with CryptX using only an email address and a password, completely anonymous. Okay, that's going to become a big theme here as we go. The second thing, you're going to pay a $100 processing fee for a DeFi staking contract, and then you're going to decide if you want your contract to be 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years as a term. Now, you can get up to 80 of these contracts. When you see what they offer, you're going to want to shoot for 80 like most people over time. But again, you can get up to 80. Remember, just $100 from you. Do you want 3 year, 5 year, or 7 year? Maximum of 80 contracts. Now, for the bank's part, the bank is going to make a loan or loans directly to the staking contract on your behalf. So you don't get to actually touch the money of these loans. They're going directly into the staking contract, which eliminates the risk from the bank that you might walk out of their bank with this money and go do something other than put it into the staking contract. So this is an important step. Now, the loan is going to be for this amount. If you pick the 3 year term, it's going to be for $30,240. If you pick the 5 or 7 year term, $43,200. So those are the 2 different loan amounts that you can get depending on if you're going to go 3, 5, or 7. Now, the bank receives 6.75% interest annually on each loan and receives the initial loan amount back at the end of each contract's term before you or I get to touch anything. That is a very important thing as well. We don't get to touch the money going in, and the bank gets back all their interest and all their money before we get to touch profits. That's important. Now, an insurance company steps in with capital protection. They basically insure the staking wallet against loss or default. They say to the bank, listen, if anything happens to CryptX, if anything happens to crypto in general, it goes through the floor and it crashes out and burns out, we guarantee you your initial loan amount back, so you now have no risk. And for doing that, for every 3 year contract, the insurance company gets $210 per month. And for every 5 and 7 year contract, they get $300 per month. Finally, the smart contract, this does all the heavy lifting. Number one, it's going to calculate your daily profits, and it's going to micro compound them 7 days a week. So that's going to happen every single day, 7 days a week. That's incredible. And it's going to do it over 3, 5, and 7 year terms. This also goes out and pays the bank its annual interest. So you don't have to worry about paying that 6.75%. The smart contract is going to do that, pay the bank for every single loan that you get. It's going to make sure they're getting your interest. And then at the end of it, it's going to give them back their loan capital, but they're also going to pay the insurance company every single month. So you don't have to worry about doing that at all. And then finally, the remaining profits, it's going to assign those remaining profits to you, which is why we're doing this. Guys, let me show you what we're talking about. You're going to actually get involved with CryptX, sign up for a free account, and then you're going to have the opportunity to pick what you see here. You can pick their DeFi Hybrid 36. Again, they do it in months, but we're talking 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years, right? So you can pick a 3-year, a 5-year, or a 7-year contract. You'll see that each one of them has a $100 processing fee. And then you see this one inserted here, the DeFi Hybrid 36 pack. This is an actual special promotion that they're running right now. You can see here in red, we're showing you it's $1,000, which normally would get you 10 contracts. But because you're buying this pack and it's a promotion, you'll get 15 contracts instead of 10. So 5 bonus contracts are going to be thrown in if you're willing to spend $1,000 at once. Now, guys, there's a strict limit of only 3 of the hybrid packs. You might say, why would I want to do this? Why are they so valuable? Let me show you. Remember, up to 80 contracts per account holder. They're all going to cost you $100 if you get a 3-year, a 5-year, or a 7-year. And I want you to think about this. I'm going to say it again because I don't want you to think we're turning $100 into the number I'm about to show you. We're turning $30,000 of a loan into the number I'm about to show you, or $43,000 as a loan. We're going to turn it into the number I'm about to show you. So if you come on board and you say you want the 3-year contract, $100 processing fee, they're going to put $30,000 at $240 into your staking contract on your behalf. That is going to start to compound. At the end of 3 years, they're going to then be able to take out the bank's money, the $32.40. They will have paid all the insurance fees and all the bank interest all along and all the platform fees as well. And at the end, after they take away everything else, you get what's left over, and what's left over is over $35,000 for a 3-year contract. Okay. Think about that for a second. Let that sit with you. Now, the 5-year staking term. Remember, we're going to start with a bigger loan, $43,000, so almost 50% more. It's also going to go out and compound for 2 years longer. And if you understand compounding, when you start getting into the later parts, it starts to get much more explosive because now the compounding is happening on a bigger number over time. With that said, guys, this 5-year contract is going to, after everybody else is paid back, what's left over for you, $471,000, and with the 7-year for another 2 years of compounding, $1.5 million. Again, you can only get a maximum of 80 of these contracts, no exceptions for anyone, but I think I probably have your attention right at this point. Now, this is what it looks like in your back office. The moment you go out and you pay the $100 processing fee and select the 3, 5, or 7-year, in this case, a person selected a 3-year, you will see an instant loan amount placed into the staking pool on your behalf. In this case, they got a 3-year contract. One of them, $30,240, right into the staking pool as a loan for them. And within 24 to 48 hours, they start earning interest. It'll show up as profit from staking, and they'll see what they earned that day, what they've earned, the last profit for the week and the last profit for the month. This is a brand new account, so it wasn't even around for a week or a month when this snapshot was taken. But you can actually see what they're earning daily, and then it just starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And over time, it really starts to become a huge number. Now, guys, here's the first elephant in the room, right? Is this real? You got to ask that question because let's face it, there's not a person on the planet who, if I went to them and said, hey, listen, you give me $100 today, in 3 years, I'll give you back $35,000, in 5 years, $471,000, or in 7 years, $1.5 million. There's not a person on the planet who would not take that deal. In fact, if they believed it, they'd say, hey, how many $100 bills can I give you to get those types of returns every single time? So the biggest question is it real? That's the elephant in the room, because if it's real, it's a no-brainer, right? So this is what we did. First, I want to show you a snapshot of the back office of someone who had been in for a little bit of time. And you can kind of see the dates here. This was January 10th of 2023. They withdrew out 98,000 and change, almost 99,000 from their back office. 1 day later, they took out $89,487. 2 months later in March, on March 15th, they took out 100 grand. On March 18th, they took out 100 grand. On March 20th, they took out 112 grand. On March 21st, they took out over $100,000. So we just showed you right there, that's more withdrawals in a 2-month period that most people make in several years of working at their job, and they were taking this out off of the CryptX platform. When you guys get involved in CryptX, you'll be able to look, you'll be able to see this exact page in your back office. This is an exact snapshot of someone else's back office to show you that. So that was pretty cool. The other thing we saw though is we had a gentleman by the name of Mo who was actually gracious enough to violate his own privacy, I say, and actually show you and videotape his actual process that he went through. So this snapshot down here is from his actual back office where he's showing you that he had a contract start date of November 20th, 2020. And it shows you exactly 3 years later. It ran for 3 years. November 21st of 2023 is when it was over. So it shows you that happening. Exactly on November 21st of 2023, he got an email from the company. This is exactly how it works. They reach out to you and they let you know, hey, regarding this particular DeFi contract or contracts, if you had a package of them, they have now terminated. Come get your money. That's exactly what it basically says, right? So what they showed was you've accumulated $501,487 and change. After some back-end fees, it's adjusted to $485,000, and now we have to send the bank back their money before you can get anything. Now, at the time when he got this loan, they were actually doing a 2-for-1. So he had 43,200 twice, because back then in 2020 they were actually providing 43,200 for the 3-year loans as well. That's no longer available; those are sold out. But it doesn't matter. That's how it was working for him back in 2020. So they said, okay, 2 times 43,200 is 86 grand. That went back to the bank. This is what you have left over for you. $398,745.68. I read that number off because I want you to see. He then showed his back office, and he showed they deposited directly into his back office $398,745.68. All the commissions here you can withdraw instantly. He then decided to withdraw those commissions, and now he's showing you his actual custodial wallet. This is his cell phone that he's showing you, where he has withdrawn these commissions out. This is in 2023. He got his 10.597 Bitcoin. You can actually see what that's worth. It's just under 390,000 after he paid all the withdrawal fees, etc. But 10.597 Bitcoin. Again, Bitcoin was probably worth about 38 grand back in 2023. But here it is. We're just 2 years later. If he held onto this Bitcoin, we know Bitcoin's over 100,000 now. This would be more than $1 million. I have no idea what Mo did with his money. That's Mo's business. I'm shocked that he even let us kind of go on that journey with him, and he videotaped it. But he did videotape it just to show people that every single day here at CryptX, they're paying out life-changing income for people. As good as that was, I wanted to see some additional proof. I wanted to see what was happening on the blockchain. Okay, because if you're from the crypto space, you know a few things about the blockchain. It's transparent, it's secure, it's public. Most importantly, it cannot be fake. This is distributed ledger that all cryptocurrencies run on. So if you have a blockchain address, you can go look up that wallet address and you can see exactly how much money is flowing through that particular wallet. So here are a couple of the blockchain addresses that people were able to track back their payments to. They got paid. They simply did a backtrack to see where it came from, and they were able to find a couple of these addresses. So here's the first one that people actually found for CryptX. And as you can see, this has had 26,530 Bitcoin transactions that have happened on this wallet. This is a clearinghouse wallet, which means as soon as it comes in, it's only coming in here so that people can withdraw it. So very often when you look at this, the total balance will either be zero or it might be a few million. But if you go look at it, maybe 5 minutes later, it'll be back to zero because somebody withdrew that few million. But check this out. This one payment wallet for CryptX, it has paid out $52,682,588,662. I'm going to say that again, guys. $52 billion in payments have gone through this one CryptX wallet. There are about 5 or 6 that people have found. I've been able to see 3 of them, but you get the point. $52 billion through this one wallet, guys. And check this out. This is actual going in and looking at this. I took this snapshot on May 13th of this year, so just last month, and I was able to show all of these ones coming in from green. This is CryptX. Somebody basically said, hey, I want to do my withdrawal. CryptX sends in the money from a couple of different sources so that it adds up to what people want to withdraw. And then this red arrows are the withdrawals coming out. So for this particular person, they took out 6.9 million bucks, one withdrawal. This person right here, this other red arrow, $451,000, not 6.9 million, but I would take 451,000. This person right here, $4.99 million. This person right here, $5 million. We're talking about massive sums of money being paid out by CryptX on a very regular basis, going out to people just like you and I, just because they only have the benefit of time. They saw this 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 7 years ago, etc. And now they're being rewarded because they got involved in CryptX a few years back. Here's a second wallet. I just want to show you, okay, that there are multiple wallets. Here's a second wallet. This one has been around a lot longer. Over 189,000 times it's transacted on the blockchain. But check this number out, guys. 516 billion. 241,580,691. Okay, I also took the snapshot back on the 13th of May. So think about that for a moment, guys. We got one wallet with 52 billion, another wallet with a $500 billion, okay, 516 billion. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars being paid out through the CryptX payment wallets over the last 9 years or so. That should be it, right? This can't be faked. If somebody could fake the blockchain, they wouldn't need to do CryptX. They could simply go to all the exchanges and they could rip them off for a couple of $1 trillion in one afternoon and be done forever. Okay, so blockchain cannot be fake. This is what's happening with this incredible company that we have. Now, the second elephant in the room, because I showed this to a friend of mine and he said, listen, man, I got it. Okay, you're right. The blockchain can't be fake. There's an insane amount of money. Clearly, CryptX is paying out an insane amount of money. But how do I know that they just haven't put together this incredible $100 Ponzi scheme? How do I know that that's not what happened? Guys, let's do some quick math for you real quick. Same math I did for him. CryptX has a little over 800,000 members. I said, let's round it all the way up to 900,000. I want to make the number as big as possible. So we take it 900,000 members times a $100 processing fee. We've got 90 million, okay, 90 million. Now, let's make another assumption. Let's assume that all of these people, every single one of them since the beginning of time in CryptX, they all got 80 contracts. 90 million times 80 would be $7.2 billion. That is a lot of money, no question about it. But I just showed you one wallet, the smaller one, had $52 billion in it. If this was a $100 Ponzi scheme, how do you account for the missing $45 billion that they're paying out? The only way they can be paying out these numbers is if they're doing exactly what they said that they're doing, is if every one of these $100 bills represents a $30,000 or $42,000 loan. And if those loans are then accruing interest on a daily basis, that's the only way they could come up with money that is into the hundreds of billions of dollars to be paying out to CryptX members around the world almost every single day. Now, guys, if you like that, if that makes sense to you, let's talk about the referral program. Let's talk about why it is we're so excited about sharing this with the world. CryptX actually helps people earn income 3 different ways. I know when I first saw this, people told me this was a great 3, 5, or 7-year retirement plan. They almost led me to believe that there was no income to be earned for going out there and sharing it today. It's just a matter of I'm going to have to wait for 3 years. That is not true. You can make an insane amount of money with CryptX every single day while you're waiting for your contracts to cash out. Let me show you what I mean. The first part of that referral program, direct commissions, and these are paid out immediately. It's based completely on the $100 referral fee, where for every person that you actually refer, you're going to actually earn 30% of their $100 referral fee that their fee that they're putting out as a processing fee. So they go out and they put up $100 for one contract, you make $30. They get 15 contracts, 1,000, 80 contracts, 70 contracts. You're making $30 off of each one of those processing fees. Now, guys, on top of that, through levels 2 through 4, you make 5%, 5 and 6, you make 4%, and 7 through 10, you're making 3%. To show you what that could look like, we thought about this for a moment. We said, listen, The average person, I'm not talking about the superstar team builders and networkers that we have joining our team. I'm talking about the average person who saw this and realized just how life-changing this was. How many people do you think they would share it with? I mean, if they sat down and really said, who else in my circle, who else do I know in my family, my friends, my neighbors, the people I go to church with that could benefit from being able to set themselves up to be done in 3 years? How many people do you think they could refer? Most people said a big number. I said, what if it was just three? What if it was just three people they referred in their close knit circle who then turned around and referred three, who referred three, et cetera? What type of math are you looking at? Some big numbers, guys. Even if the average person only averaged 10 contracts each, and I'm telling you, people are pushing for 80 when they see how valuable the contracts are. But even if they only average 10 contracts each, when you add in this level of compensation, you can see that you're talking about millions of dollars as you add it all up. A couple of $1,000,000 on the table just for going out and referring three and letting it take over. Just everybody just doing a very little bit is still producing some huge, huge math. Now, let me show you some better math. Let me show you what CryptX does for you now once these contracts start to cash out in 3 years, 5 years, or 7 years. They're going to now pay you a back-end percentage through 20 levels based on the executed value of the contract. What does that mean? It means from the previous slide, let's just look at level 5. There were 243 referrals. You're 3 getting 3 down through 5 levels. You had 243 people join within your team on the 5th level. If each one had 10 contracts, that's 2,430 contracts. You made $4 on that level on the front end, $9,720. Not bad, but here's what happens on the back end. On the back end, you also get 4%. But now it's not 4% of $100. It's 4% of $35,000 because that's the executed value of the contract when it's done. 35,000 times 4% is $1,400. You're going to make $1,400 times 2,430 contracts, 3.4 million bucks. Guys, when I saw this, all of a sudden, all those $5 million payments that I saw going off on the blockchain, 3 million, 4 million, 12 million. I saw one for 22 million one day. All of a sudden, it all made sense to me. All of a sudden, I started to understand how people were walking away. It's not just about their contracts that they personally have going out and actually terminating and getting profits from there. It's the people who went out and shared this with people. They were building up life-changing wealth by simply sharing this with a handful of people and having that continue to build out. That's when we got real inspired to get really aggressive about going out and telling as many people as we could about CryptX. And for those of you that can be inspired like we are, I want to show you one final bonus that's pretty substantial. It's their leadership bonus. And this is for leaders only. Okay. I want to make sure I don't expect an average person to do this, but if you want to be aggressive, guys, if you can go out and refer 100 people or more who each get at least one contract, then when you do that, at the point that you get your 100th person, if you have 1,000 contracts total throughout your entire team, then they're going to give you a $5,000 bonus right at that point. But what's better than that is from that point forward, every single month, they're going to look at how many contracts you have coming in new between your first two levels. Again, not how many people, how many contracts. The same exact people could just be buying another contract every month. It doesn't matter. But if you have 100 contracts new coming in within your first two levels, they will give you a $5 bonus paid through infinity for every contract that came onto your team in that month. Because let me just show you something here. Remember the 7th level that we talked about in the front end? That was 2,187 people. You made $3 for each one of the contracts. That was 65 grand. That's a pretty substantial number. But if you were at the leader level by the time you got to here to the 7th, then you would add in another $5 on these 21,000 contracts. That's over $109,000 extra. That's in addition to this 65 grand. And remember, that's just one level. You're going to get that $5 through infinity, not just your 10 level front line, but you're going to get it through infinity. So every level below the 10th level as well. This is a substantial amount of money. Now, to show you how fair the company is, they said, listen, if you can't get 100 new contracts in a month between your first two levels, if you only get 50, we'll still give you a $2 bonus through infinity. And if you only get 20, you'll still get a $1 bonus through infinity. So they're not trying to figure out a way to not pay you. They're trying to figure out a way how to get as much money into your pocket as possible for you going out there and being a leader and really getting the word out about what's happening with CryptX. Guys, I want to start wrapping this up by just showing you some real examples. So this is a 3-year case study. This gentleman had been in a business for about 3 years and 3 months, allowed us to take a snapshot of their back office, and I blew it up here so you can see it on the screen. But this was the thing that made the most amount of sense to me, because what you could see over here, and this is what your back office looks like. You'll see a panel that says overview of profits locked. For him, it's a lot. It's $7.6 million in change, and it breaks it down between the two areas that this money is coming from. He's got $4,752,000 in change profits from staking. In other words, he went out and got a bunch of contracts himself, and now it's built up over 3 years and 3 months, and you can see what the value of the profits that have been generated on those contracts. And these contracts, this number is going to go up every single day until those individual contracts terminate. And then as they terminate, the money is moved over here. He gets an email saying, come get your money. And he simply withdraws that money. The rewards referral staking, these are his team. This is from his team's contracts. His overrides on his team, about $2.8 million and growing. Again, going to go up every single day until these contracts start terminating, and then he gets to cash that out. So that's $7.6 million and counting for him, because some of these contracts are for 5 years, some of them are for 7 years. This number is going to get huge. It could go over 20, 25, $30 million over the next 4 years, right? However, let's look at what he made while he was waiting for his contracts to actually kick in. $2.1 million. Let's break it down, guys. His rewards referral program. This gentleman made over $584,000 in the last 3 years just from that 10-level payout that we showed you that was happening every day based on the $100, right? Now, in addition to that, at some point along his journey, he actually recruited 100 frontline people and had 1,000 contracts on his team because he hit the leader level. I don't know how long it took, but whenever it happened, from the point that it happened until now, he earned another $912,000. So $1.5 million total between these two on the front end of the compensation. So I love when people say there's no money today for CryptX. How's $1.5 million over 3 years for no money today? Okay. Now, as his contract started to actually terminate at the end of the 3 years, look what happened. He had a few contracts of his team contracts, his rewards referral that cashed out. His profits for those contracts from his team was $289,000. And then he had 4 of his own contracts that terminated. And for those 4 contracts, he made $316,000 so far. This money is still coming. This is growing, and it's coming later. But $2.1 million that he put in his pocket in 3 years and 3 months, $1.5 million of it happened over the 3 years while he was waiting for contracts to start opening up. That's a lot of money. That's more money than most people would even dream about making over the next 3 years, but not us, guys. This is why we're here. When we saw this math, we said we're going to get ultra aggressive and we're going to smash these numbers, okay? And we're looking for some people who want to do that with us. Now, finally, the last elephant in the room, and then we're going to wrap up, which is, hey, if this is so great, why is everything kept anonymous? I knew why right away, but I'm a student of history. But for those of you who may not be, let me give you a quick history lesson about something we've all heard of, at least, which is Bitcoin. Okay, we may not all understand Bitcoin at the same level, but there's not a person on the planet now who hasn't heard about Bitcoin, who doesn't know that one Bitcoin is over $100,000, and who doesn't say, man, I really wish I would have got it 10 years ago when it was pennies, because I'd be a billionaire today, right? Well, let's talk about the creation of Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, based on a free market ideology, Bitcoin was invented in 2008 when an unknown entity published a white paper under the pseudonym of Satoshi Nakamoto. So all of that, here's what that means. Whoever invented Bitcoin, their name is not Satoshi Nakamoto. That's all we know. In fact, they don't even believe it was a person. They believe it was a group of developers. So why did they choose to actually publish this under a pseudonym? Why didn't they just come out and say, hey, my name is Mike Jones? My name is, why did they come out and do that? Why didn't they say Satoshi Nakamoto? Well, simple. They created Bitcoin because they were pissed off. They created it because in 2008, there was a massive housing crisis where the housing market collapsed, not just in America, but around the globe. And they were pissed because people lost their houses. They lost their life savings. Some people, because of the pressure of all of a sudden finding themselves penniless, they took their own lives. So they lost their lives, right? Which means people lost their loved ones as well. And the banks, they knew about it. They knew about it and they said nothing. And even though they said nothing and they knew about it and they, in effect, caused it to happen, they still got bailed out by the government, and many of them got bonuses. And that was the last straw for the people who created Bitcoin. They said, you can't trust them. You cannot trust them. The only thing they care about is their own profits. They're not going to ever have our best interest in mind. We're going to create something that is transparent. It's going to be the people's money, and the people are going to decide on the worth of it, and they're going to drive it, and they're never going to have to worry about the banks again. That's why they created Bitcoin. And it's also why they decided to be anonymous when they did it, because Bitcoin came out for public consumption in 2009. And at the 2009, when the first purchase was made, it was actually made for pizza, by the way, of Bitcoin. One Bitcoin was only worth 0.003. So 1/3 of a penny. The banks were not concerned. But 2 years later, by 2011, it achieved price parity with the US dollar. One Bitcoin was worth $1. And now today, one Bitcoin is over $100,000. Guys, think about that for a moment. As a result, there are now over 25,000 cryptocurrencies with a combined market cap value of 3.3 trillion. Bitcoin has a market cap of 2 trillion. And there are over 172,000 crypto millionaires. Over 320 of them are worth over $100 million. And there are 28 crypto billionaires. And all of this is because of the growth of Bitcoin. Now, keep this in mind. Of that 3.3 trillion, the vast majority of that is not held in banks. It's held in these digital wallets in people's own custody outside of the banking system, which means they don't control it and they don't profit from it. Do you believe if they knew that this was Mike Jones and his friends, and they knew who they were and where they lived and what they did for a living, and they saw this growth and they saw what was coming, which was trillions of dollars leaving the banking system outside of their control and outside of their profit, that they would have done nothing? Or do you believe that all of a sudden there would have been a lot of things started out there about Mike and his friends, and that they were bad people and they were this and they were that, and Bitcoin would have got strangled in its infancy? The reason why it's anonymous and why it was set up to be anonymous is because they knew what was going to happen and they wanted to protect it, even from people coming after them. Guys, CryptX, the banks, the insurance companies, the smart contract holders, the account holders, everybody, it's all anonymous for our benefit. This has allowed the company to operate uninterrupted since 2016 and clears the way for the continued prosperity. And I'm telling you, this combination of anonymous banks, insurance companies, and account holders, this sets this up to be the largest wealth creation vehicle in history. Don't worry or wonder about why it's anonymous. Be excited about the fact that it's anonymous, because it means it's going to be here for a long time to come, just like Bitcoin. Guys, if you like what you see, if this makes sense to you, then what's next is simple. We told you at the beginning, write down your questions. Get back to the person who invited you. Get those questions answered ASAP. And then if you do decide that you want to join us, go out there, get back to the person who referred you, get started with them, and welcome to the team. I want to thank everybody for your time. Again, I know depending on where you're dialing in from around the world, it's all different times of the day, but I hope that you have found this helpful, and I hope you found this information useful. Thank the person who invited you. And again, if you do decide to be a part of our team, welcome to the team. I look forward to sharing your success story on a future webinar. So with that being said, Mike, I'm going to turn the call back to you. Thanks for setting it up, sir. And hey, man, let's go out and keep growing.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. I tell you, man, this is so exciting, man. It makes me want to sign up. And I know I say that, but I mean, I really mean it, because, we've been looking for something that we could really, sink our teeth into and have some longevity. So I'm going to second what you said and encourage everybody to get back to the person and get started right away, because the sooner you get started, the sooner your 36 months will be over. All right. So we will be back here Monday. Same time, same station. Y'all have a great night.